Okay. Hey, Lauren.
Hi, Beryl. How are you?
I'm doing well. Today is
It
Halloween,
is Halloween,
and
and
I am Bela Targaryen today
all right.
from Fire and Blood or House of Dragons on HBO. But I didn't have time to change. So I'm
No,
going to be Bela on
I
the
think this is a great
yeah.
time to, be dressed up
And I have
for our
my
audience.
Funko Pop of Bela Targaryen with me.
Very cute.
And this wonderful dragon that I'm going to name CERT because I got it from the Center for Instructional Research and Technology. If you need anything 3D printed, talk to David in the Center for Instructional
Watch
Research
out,
and
David.
Technology.
The requests are coming.
Yes.
You got my questions and you don't want to guess. I got a recommendations and that I can suggest. Yes, this library questions are a part of the quest. Here's Beryl and Laura with instruction requests.
Okay, so what are we talking about today?
All right. So today we're going to talk about team building. We're going to go over a new resource we have available in the library.
Okay.
And I'll let you introduce our newest segment a little later on.
Oh,
the
yes.
episode.
We have our new segment.
Yes, very
Okay.
exciting.
All right. Great. All right. What's happening in instruction?
So in instruction, we've mentioned this before, but we have to bring it out again. We have library open office hours available.
Library open office hours. Yes. Andy, if you will hit that PowerPoint and show the librarian open office hours, these are all hours that each one of our instruction librarians or the 6 volunteers have dedicated 2 hours per session.
Yes.
For students to drop into our Zoom room. And this week, we got our own individual Zoom room. And you can find it at unf.zoom.us/my/UNF lifts. Or you can scan that QR code that's on the screen. We have at least 2 hours per day, Monday through Thursday, where a librarian is available. So all of you students who can't find a research consultation appointment, drop into a Zoom.
Yes.
Just drop into one of those times and a librarian will be able to help you with whatever your research needs are or walk you through how to do research in the library and find library resources.
Yes.
What else are we talking about today?
We are also talking about pop-up library instruction.
Pop-up library instruction. The next slide, Andy. Pop-up library instruction. Oh, okay. I got the clicker. Pop-up library instruction is a special service that we're doing here at the Thomas G. Carpenter Library Instruction Unit is doing, is that we are going out of the library.
Yes.
We will also be at the week before finals. We are going to be in the Writing Center and in the SAS.
Yes.
In their buildings. So we'll be going to the Writing Center in this, what's the name of this building? Building 8? No, that's not Building 8.
In building
4.
Mhm.
Building 4, the Writing Center in Building 4, and then we'll be going to Student Academic
Success
Services. And
I
we'll
believe they're in
be
building
we'll
2.
be over there providing the same type of services. So if you are in need to talk to a librarian for an assignment or say your professor says you need to go have a library appointment with a librarian, you can drop into open office hours or pop-up library instruction
Absolutely.
the week before finals.
So we are popping up, as Beryl said, the week before finals. coming right after the week when we get back from our Thanksgiving break. And so for specific days, we will be in the Writing Center on Monday, December the 2nd, and Wednesday, December the 4th. And we will be in SAS on Tuesday, December the 3rd, and Thursday, December the 5th. We will be in both of those locations from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on those days.
Very good. So that week, if you need any help with research, please come in.
Please.
Before then, drop into our open office hours. Scan that QR code in the video and drop into our open office hours. What's next?
All right, so now we're going to talk about the research question of the day.
The research question of the day. What is it?
All right. So it's not actually one question. I think I thought it would be a great idea to address something that we're seeing commonly coming through our library chat.
Okay.
And that is students are coming in asking for full text articles to support citations or article titles that they have found.
Okay.
And so we can't say for sure with everyone, of course, but we know that it's common practice to use generative AI to look for resources now.
Yes.
And so sometimes the AI will generate a citation, but not necessarily that full article, and then they will come and ask us to find the full article. Now, this brings up some very important things. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was how...
Is that a bird flying over here? That's a hallucination.
AI hallucinates. And what that means is sometimes it will essentially generate something that is not real. It will look real. It will give it to you in APA format or MLA format. It will give you the names of researchers that don't exist, or it might create something from an actual researcher, but that's not a work that they've actually done. And so the best way to figure out whether or not this is a real citation or a real article is if you go to OneSearch, copy and paste the title of that article into the OneSearch bar and search it and see if it comes up. If it doesn't come up right away, maybe edit the search by removing some of the words in the title. If that doesn't work, search by author. If it doesn't work in OneSearch, maybe even try Google Scholar. But if you are not finding any results based on that, more than likely you have generated a hallucination.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's very scary.
So
it's what
important.
Else are we talking about today?
So it's important to remember that AI is a tool. It's something that can be very useful and very practical, but it definitely is still in the works. It's definitely still improving. And I've noticed it has gotten better. So I went and did a search in ChatGPT for an article, and I followed those instructions. I looked it up in OneSearch, and it was real. So the AI is getting better, but it's still not there yet.
And I have to say that we are encouraged to use Microsoft Copilot here at the University of North Florida and not ChatGPT. So if you try Microsoft Copilot, it may do better. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can't confirm. I don't know.
I use multiple AIs, so but I also use Microsoft Copilot for work here.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about one of the newest resources that we actually have available in the library, and it's called the Primo Research Assistant, or we can just call it Research Assistant for short. And I actually have a video about how to access and use this resource on our library website. To access the Research Assistant, go to the library website at www.unf.edu/library. Scroll down and click on the OneSearch button. At the top of the page is the option for the Research Assistant. You will have to sign on with your student account or faculty account, and this will open up into that Research Assistant. And here you can use common language to do a search. So here's an example of how does vitamin D deficiency impact overall health. And what will happen is the research assistant will pull articles from one search only. So one search is pulling from our databases and various collections, and it will give you the top 5 sources based on your search. We do ask that you give it some feedback. And then if you click view more results from your library, it will take you into one search where you can further filter out those results.
Okay, that was interesting.
Yes.
It's almost like a little AI assistant.
Essentially.
Yeah. An AI assistant, but there's some limitations on it.
There are still some limitations with it. It does bring up the 5 top resources, but we don't quite know yet what the standard is by which it's determining that those are the top 5.
And it is beta.
It is the beta
so
version.
We encourage you to use it, but remember that it is in beta. So if you run across any problems with it, go back to the regular way to search one search. And to be able to save your resources. I don't think you can save resources when you're using Research Assistant. So I would, and you can't narrow your sources and that type of thing. So if you run into any problems with it, it can be a good research starter.
Yes.
But if you run into any problems, I would go back to the old way of searching one search. Just go straight into one search.
Absolutely. And I also want to note that it's not learning in the way that we might have gotten used to some of our AI models just by our input. So if you are using this resource, we do ask that you give it feedback. Tell us if it's generating what you're looking for or if it's not generating what you're looking for and that kind of thing. And that's how they're going to be able to use that beta mode to make sure that the final product is the most useful for us.
Okay, let's talk about what's happening in the VLC.
What's happening in the VLC?
Well, today I wanted to talk about some team building VR that we have in the VLC because I've had several organizations come to do like team building events.
Mm-hmm.
And one VR experience that I have that is doing like gangbusters because it's a communication game. It's called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Andy, can you put up that slide? Yeah, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. What this experience is, it's just like the board game in that you have one person in VR and they're looking at a bomb and the partners around have the bomb defusal manual, and they have to communicate with the person who's in VR and tell them what to look for and say, do you see wires? Do you see batteries? How many buttons do you see? That type of thing. And the people outside of VR don't see the bomb. The person inside VR does not see the bomb defusal manual, so you have to communicate.
Wow.
And it can be very fun. A lot of English classes use it, team building exercises to get groups working together and talking to one another. So if you're interested in creating an opportunity for your students to get to know one another and to be able to communicate effectively, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes can be a fun way for them to do that. So we have other team building games, like we do have Beat Saber, and we do have Tetris and some other metaverse type experiences, and an escape room and that type of thing. But Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes seems to be very, very popular. So I wanted to say that. And now for our newest segment, Library VR Champions. I want to highlight those faculty members who have really been a champion of VR here on on campus at University of North Florida and in the VLC, working closely with me in exposing students to virtual reality and VR. And our very first library VR champion is Dr. Kevin Pfeil, assistant professor of the computing.
Intro
So-
applause here.
Huh?
I said intro applause here.
Intro applause here. And I have a video interview with Dr. Pfeil where he talks about how he got into virtual reality and what his research interests are here at UNF. Andy, can you cue that video? I'm proud to introduce our very first library VR champion, Dr. Kevin Pfeil, assistant professor of computer science.
Thanks for having me on, Beryl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm going to let you tell a little bit about your credentials.
Sure, yeah. So I graduated from the University of Central Florida in 2022 with my PhD in computer science, and my specialization was human-computer interaction. I have a lot of experience with virtual reality, augmented reality, some futuristic technologies. Essentially, my research is focusing on how we can make better interactions for people and computers. So I have a particular interest in finding ways that we can interact with these virtual objects in the virtual worlds, as well as in the real world, and also to connect people using computer-mediated communication so we can have advanced ways of interacting with each other.
So now you know why he is our library VR champion. Kevin said yes when he was asked to help the library create an immersive VR experience with the Earth White Special Collection. Plus, he said yes when asked to create the augmented reality experience around the jazz photographs and lithographs on the third floor of the library. Kevin, tell us how you became interested in using immersive technology.
So I remember when I was doing my master's degree, and I started that in 2011, there really wasn't a virtual reality headset on the market at the time. And around the 2012 timeframe, I took a three-dimensional user interfaces class. So it wasn't specific to VR, but there was a particular focus on VR for some of the lessons. And I joined my advisor's lab at UCF, and he had all this advanced tech. The Oculus development kit was on the shelf, so I was able to use that before it actually reached the market. And I thought to myself, okay, we finally made it. We finally have a consumer grade device that we can use. And that was my first experience with it, and I thought, really now the time is now to get in, on the ground floor. We can do some interesting things. So that was my first attempt at using
Your
it.
first taste.
That's right. And
Okay.
then it's been just getting better and better over time.
Okay. Well, I guess that's kind of how have you used AR and VR at UNF in your work?
Right. So
Other than the library.
Other than the library? Oh, but I definitely use the library. I can tell you that. VLC is amazing, but so part of my work, is to be a research, scientist here. So I conduct usability studies here at UNF, and I have students who create some experiences, or they create techniques that we can use to interact in virtual reality, and then we want to experience, or we want to inspect how well do we create this experience, or how well do we create this interaction technique. So for instance, I have a master's student who's graduating this semester. He's using AI in VR to create VR. So while you're wearing a headset, he can say, create an object, create like a chair and put it at that location. So he can point at a place. The AI recognizes that as a command, and it spawns a chair inside of your virtual world, and then it places it there.
Wow.
So we can now actually, through this work, create tools that support novices. So people who have no idea how to do coding, no idea how to use these tools that currently exist, we can provide a better, more accessible way of entering the VR domain.
That's
just
awesome.
by speaking it into existence.
Yes. Was he in your first VR class?
He was in spring 2023. Yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah, his work has come a long way, and he's
that's awesome.
presenting his thesis this semester.
Great.
Yeah.
When he presents it, is it public?
It is public.
I
Yeah.
would like to see
Yeah.
it.
We haven't set the date yet, but it should be sometime in November, I would
Well,
expect.
let me know.
Definitely.
Okay, so what are your future plans for using XR in your research and instruction?
Hmm. So we have a lot of projects on the docket
Mhm.
for my research. Um, I have a particular interest in understanding how people perceive XR. The reason for that, just to give a little bit of background, briefly, if you were to have someone measure or like give a estimation of distance in the real world, and then you compare that to a replica of the real world in virtual reality. So really the exact same thing in VR and in the real world. People are way worse in VR, like
Mhm.
statistically significantly worse.
They're worst in
Yeah,
VR.
and we underestimate our distances.
Oh,
So
okay.
in VR, and the reason why that's important to note is because we want, while we're creating these virtual experiences, we want people to feel like they're actually there. And if people are misperceiving the virtual environment, that's an indication that they're not feeling that they're actually there. They may indicate verbally, yeah, I feel like I'm there. I'm in this, this new world, but they're just not behaving the same. Um, they're not actually perceiving it the same. And that matters because we want to use VR for education. We want to use it for training,
Training.
simulation.
Yes.
Um, and if there's that disparity, then that kind of hints that we're not getting the training that we need.
We have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go. So we plan on conducting some work to try to identify how we can close that gap and try to make it, better
Awesome.
at the end of the day.
That's awesome work.
Yeah, and then in my teaching, so right now I'm teaching a special topics course on virtual reality with a particular spin of content creation. So my students, I taught them how to use the tools, how to create a virtual world by hand, and then we can deliver that as a game. And right now they're working on a second project where they're going out into the real world and they're using 360-degree scans in order to create a digital twin of an environment.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then anyone from around the world can experience this location.
And I expect the VLC to have every one of those projects.
That's right. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay, so tell me, how do you view the VLC's importance?
The VLC is extremely important. So because the VLC is in the library can archive things, and the library can also acquire different experiences for us to try. The VLC really is a hub for going to see what's out there now. And there's so many experiences that are either on Steam or they're on the Meta platform, they're on SideQuest. And I envision the VLC as being this hub for students, not just in my area, but from around the entire university, or maybe even outside the university, to come in, choose an experience, and then learn from it, or try out different ways of interacting with the virtual environment. Um, I really think that we can create a catalog of experiences, through not just my course, but from other entities around UNF who want to create things and add it to the library. Um, the VLC can kind of be that archive for us. So now the students can create meaningful real world applications and share it with the rest of the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kevin Pfeil from the Computer Science Department. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for having me,
Our
Beryl.
very first library champion.
I'm very happy to be the first. Thank you.
All right. Don't you love Kevin?
Yes.
Oh, he is wonderful when you're talking about helping you. He always says yes. That's something that I wish a lot more people would do in the library and around the campus. Say yes, or find a way to say yes.
Wonderful things happen when you say yes.
When you say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Another thank you to Dr. Pfeil for being our first VR champion. for sure.
Yes, he is definitely a VR champion.
Yes. So on the next episode of Instruction Requests, we are going to be talking about mindfulness.
Yes, mindfulness resources, rest and relax in the VLC,
Yes.
and we'll be doing a recap
We're going
of
to do
everything
recap.
that we have done. I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking. Okay, everything we have. Am I looking the right place? Everything that we have done on the podcast and in instruction this fall 2024.
Absolutely. So just remember that if you need support, you can schedule a research consultation, and you can always schedule an instruction request. Thank you.